Hello friends, welcome to that 1870s homestead. My name's Rachel and we are starting seeds today and we're starting our tomato seeds. I am completely surprised because, not surprised, let me tell you something. I've been starting seeds instead of going to the nursery and buying them successfully now for this will be my third year. And so I've done it 2 seasons, teaching myself how to grow my own seeds. And in that process, you learn a few things. So I learned I always start my tomatoes way too early. And then I'm dealing with 2-foot tall tomatoes, trying to stretch them to get out in the garden. This year, I think when I did my garden plan, I overcompensated for that and had it set to April 5th when I was going to start my tomato seedlings. And I think that's too late. I mean, they would still go out. They would just go out a lot smaller than they needed to be. So it's March 25th. We're starting tomato seeds. This is a 50 cell tray. I got my tomatoes laid out. So let me tell you what we're growing. And you can follow along. If you're in a similar growing zone to me, I am Southeast Michigan. My last frost date is May 10th. So when you're planting a vegetable garden, you should really go by your last frost date, first frost date versus your growing zones. Your growing zones are more for perennial growing zones. But if you're curious, I'm like right on the border of 6B and 7. So I tend to lean more towards the 6 growing zone because we do have freak polar vortexes that hit our area and it's not unusual that we'll have negative temperatures in the winter. So it's more about what's the average lowest cold that you get. Okay, so come on down here and let's get planting. I only need like 24, 25 tomato plants, so why am I growing 50? I'll tell you about that. Okay, so first let me tell you the variety that we're growing. We're growing Amana tomato. All of the tomatoes I'm growing are indeterminate, which means that they'll keep growing and producing. So this is an Iowa heirloom, great for salads and sandwiches, sweet and tangy, kind of like a mimic of a pineapple flavor, I guess. So that's exciting. Cherokee Purple, which is my absolute 100% favorite. It is an heirloom variety again. It's believed to have been passed down from the Native American Cherokee tribe, which is where it gets its name. And it is a really meaty tomato with a really, they call it a bold flavor, but I think of it as a really deep flavor. It's so hard to explain, but it is absolutely delicious. It is not overly acidic at all. We're growing our Box Car Willies. So box cars are a good, just general all-purpose. It has a balance of sweet and acidity. It is your tried and true tomato flavor. We love it for just a great producer in the garden. For the first time ever, I'm trying this Giant Belgium, which is also an heirloom tomato. It gets really, really big tomatoes, and it's great for juicing, sauces, fresh eating, and it's gonna have like a bit of a pink hue to it. So that sounds exciting. Pink Oxheart. I've never grown this one either. It is another heirloom. This is a very meaty tomato, kind of like if you think of a paste tomato. So growing that. Our Paul Robeson, which is I'm gonna think that this might challenge my Cherokee Purple. So this is kind of more of a beef steak though, but with a smoky, earthy flavor, it says. So, and then for my Giant Crimson. So this is not that pretty of a seed packet, but my gardener brought this one back from the ancient records and restored this from a very, very old seed. We're going to try that. I only have 5 of those, so we're going to see if we can get one going. And then for cherries, we're going to do, thank you so much, Susie from Wild Boar Farm. She shared with me her Chardonnay, cherry tomato, and the chocolate sprinkle. Yep. So we're going to try those. And those are seeds from her very own garden. So I think I'm going to do, like I said, I'm growing 50. Get down here so I can talk to you guys. I'm growing 50 tomatoes. I only need 24 in my garden. I typically will grow 30, but I still have quite a bit of tomato products still on the shelf, so I don't need to like go overboard. So I'm gonna just stick with 24. And of the 24, 2 are always a cherry, so I'm just hoping for 2 of those cherries that I mentioned. I want the bulk of it to be the Box Car Willie, and then the variety to be the balance. So if I go with like say 12 Box Car Willies, and then of all the other tomatoes, maybe 2 of each. So then I get kind of the bulk of my salsas, and salsas are just that standard tomato with a lot of good various variety mixed in. That's the way I like to do it. So we're gonna get started, and I'm gonna do 1 row of Amana, 1 row of the Giant Belgium, 1 row of the Pink Oxheart, 1 row of the Robeson, 1 row of the Cherokee Purple, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of our Box Car Willie. And then the last row will be our Cherokee Purple, our cherry tomatoes and the Giant Crimson we'll try. So sound like a plan? That's what we're gonna go with. Tools of the trade, chopstick. That's my favorite. I've already got my moistened seed starting mix in. So let's get up here and I'll show you how I'm planting these. I was actually just out in the garden. Let me see you guys. Okay. I was actually just out in the garden planting peas. So we're just getting all the things done. So let's move these out of our way. Get some labels out and ready so we don't forget to do that. And now this is still going to be way too many, right? Way too many seeds. Every year I give them away to my father-in-law, my 2 father-in-laws in town. They both grow a garden. And my daughter-in-law this year is wanting to plant some tomatoes, so she'll have her pick. And if there's anything left, I usually just post them on Facebook Marketplace. So if you're local, join Facebook Marketplace and you might see some of these go up for sale if they're all successful. So I am planning on doing 2 seeds per cell. And another reason to always plant more than you think you need is just in case you have bad germination. You make sure you at least get what you want. Plant more than you need so you get what you need. How about that? So these do not have to be planted very deep at all. So I kind of just make a little indent with the end of my, hopefully, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that, a little indent with the end of my chopstick. And we'll put a seed in there and then we'll just sprinkle some soil back on top. But a tip for you. So what is something very important for seeds to thrive? They need light, they need water, and they need air. That's the 3 main things. So you don't want to pack your seed starting mix in your cell trays. So I'll fill them all the way, and then I'll take my finger and push down in the middle just to make sure that the soil has contact to the bottom of the cell, so that when I start bottom watering, it's got something to grab a hold of that water and uptake it. And then that usually creates a big void, so then I'll top it off again and just lightly pat. That makes sure that there's plenty of air in this growing medium. And then watering, we'll water in from the top. We'll keep watering from the top until we see the seeds germinate. Once the seeds break the surface of the soil, we will start bottom watering. Light, yes, underneath grow lights. And of course, I always like to add a fourth condition, which people don't talk enough about, and that's the right soil temperature. So some seeds germinate best at a lower soil temperature. So putting them in heat is kind of doing the inverse of what they need to germinate. That's things like my broccoli and celery and cabbage and other brassica type plants. They don't need over too high of a heat to germinate, I should say it that way. And where tomatoes do need heat, so they're going to go in my grow tent, which mine is just over the heat register in my house, so that's how I heat it. I don't use heat mats or anything like that, and it works quite well. So I'm just getting all my little spots made first. And if you've grown this Amana tomato, let me know what you think. This is my first time growing this one too. I always like to do a yellow or orange variety, and so far my favorite has been the Kellogg's, and I've done the Dr. Witchy's, but I very much prefer the Kellogg's to the Dr. Witchy's. So we're trying the Amana to see what we think about that one. And when I make my sauces, soups, I use all the varieties, even the cherries. And I think it adds just a wonderful balance of flavor. So I'll bring you guys down here in just a second, and maybe you'll be able to see a little closer, kind of more how deep these little spots are. And we'll put our seeds in. And then I'll bring you guys back in a future video and show you how well did we do with our germination. And then in this seed starting mix, there is no, what's the right word? Like feed, no fertilizer, no nutrients. It's just a coconut coir perlite mix and seeds, much like a baby chicken, has everything it needs to come alive in that seed coating. And once it gets its then first true set of leaves is when you start feeding them. And so we're just gonna do that. So we're all set. Let me bring you guys down here and we'll start planting. Okay, I'm gonna try to tip this up. So hopefully that light captures those little holes. I know I can see them, so hopefully you guys can see them. So if I point out, here, let me use one that I think is more in focus. Nope, I need to stay out of the light. So one little hole, two little holes. Tomato seeds are so tiny. Little bitty. Oh, dang it. Now there's all kinds of methods to starting seeds, guys. Everyone does it the way that they feel comfortable. So you can just scatter a bunch of seeds and then thin them out. Some people will just choose to do one per cell. So what my plan will be is when these two sprout, I'll divide them when it comes time to pot them up in a bigger pot. All right, so there we have our little Amanas all ready. All right, let's make our seed markers so we don't forget where we left off. Amana. Okay, Now, next up is our Giant Belgium. And then growing tomatoes, similarly, you're gonna find, if you're new to gardening, lots of different options when it comes to planting your tomatoes, trellising or not trellising tomatoes. So what I recommend is go with somebody that does it for like growing conditions that you have. And if it doesn't work for you, learn from that and then pick a different method the next year. So I think when we first started, we were using tree stakes, like wooden tree stakes. We did that for a couple years, and they always ended up breaking or falling over with the weight of the tomatoes. We may have gone from there to just using T-post, and T-post were good, but that's expensive to have if you're just starting out anyway and you don't already have them on hand. And if you're growing the amount of tomatoes that we are growing, to have that many T-post. But they work really well. You just want at least 7 foot tall T-post, because especially if you're growing indeterminate tomatoes. Oops, I didn't need to do that one because we're not growing these tomatoes in this. The T-post, 7 foot T-post, because indeterminates will grow quite tall, and they'll even like grow higher than that and start like climbing over the side on themselves. And then we switched. Ultimately, our favorite way, and even though I'm probably not doing it this year in my garden, my favorite way is T-post with cattle panel trellis panels. So you take, probably 4 T-posts down a row and hang your cattle panel on there. And I just did it again talking to you guys, and I didn't even plant anything there. Okay, acting like I buried something. Next up is our Pink Oxheart. And I'm hoping these are good producers, because I would really like a lot of these. So I would say for the Amanas, I need to count this out. I'll probably try to do 2 Amanas, at least 3 of the Giant Belgiums. I wouldn't mind, so that takes me to 5. So from 12, 17. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it by numbers. But this year I think we're just gonna do the T-post because I wanna scatter my tomatoes throughout my garden this year versus having them all in a dedicated row. And that's for no reason other than that's the way I want to design my garden this year. So Pink Oxheart is another one I've never grown. I have seen my gardener do it, and it looks like a wonderful tomato to grow. So I'm hoping that they do well. And because these are, for the majority, heirloom varieties, I do anticipate a little challenges with whether it's disease or pest or imperfect, I guess, growing tomatoes. I'm okay with that because I'm not selling them at market. I'm doing it for our own family, and I'll just really keep a watchful eye on them. How's it looking? I'm so excited. I cannot believe we're finally here and planting tomatoes. That's really, really exciting. All right, let's go in with our Paul Robeson. And I love my Cherokee Purples mixed in with my canning products because I think, again, it just adds so much great flavor. So if you have been canning and you've just been canning with straight plain old tomatoes, and whether it's Romas or something like a Box Car Willie or your Bonnie's Best, I really encourage you to just add just a couple, something yellow, something purple, get all your colors in there. If you think colors and the variety of flavor that's going to give you, and even just different vitamins are and minerals are present with different colored vegetables. So, okay, I've got them all planted except the infamous Box Car Willie and our cherry tomatoes. So I'm going to take a look at these cherished seeds. I think I'm going to just try them all. Doesn't hurt. So I have 5. I'll do 4. I don't know how well the chances of germination are with these. And I just want to at least get 1. And they're supposedly great big huge tomatoes. Kind of like a beefsteak. I didn't end up having enough Box Car Willies to do 4 rows like I planned, so I've got like almost 3 complete rows of Box Car Willie. We added 1 more Giant Belgium, 2 more Pink Oxheart, and 2 more Paul Robesons. So I need to make tags for those. And we're almost all done. When I get done, I'll take you guys over to the greenhouse and show you setting them up and waiting for them to sprout. All right, we have them all planted. I ended up not having enough for 4 rows of our Box Car Willies. So we got 1, 2, and then almost a 3rd row of Box Car Willies. Then I added, what was this one? Oh, more of the Giant Crimson, some Pink Oxheart, some more Paul Robeson. I did 2 of the Box Car Willies, so 2 each. And then, oh, I didn't finish those labels. This is the champagne bubbles and the chocolate sprinkles for now, till I get over there and make me a steak. But I'm gonna water these in. And I bought this at Dollar General years ago, and it's still working like a charm. And it's just a little pump sprayer that allows you to do a very gentle mist on top of your soil. Like if you were to put this, say, under the faucet or a big watering can or something like that, you really disturb the seeds. And we don't want that. We want to just get them nice and soaked in good. And then you just give it a little pump and you do it again. And I'll keep doing this. I don't know, as it needs it. You just don't want the top layer of the soil to dry out. But we're gonna put a cover on this and then go put it in the greenhouse. I'm gonna give it a nice humidity control, and I think we should have some little tomato sprouts, I would guess, in like 3 or 4 days. And I'm not using ice cold water, I'm using like tepid water. Not hot, but not cool. More like body temperature. Let's head over to the greenhouse now and plant our tomatoes. We did it, guys. That's exciting. So we got our tomatoes. We're putting on our little humidity dome. And these had to be purchased separately from the trays and the bottom watering trays. So kind of if you're buying through a bulk supplier like Johnny Seed, you're buying each part separately. But they come in like, I think 5 packs. All right, and this is my little tiny indoor grow setup for heat-loving crops. So this sits on top of my heat register. Oh. So my heat register is, I got my sweet potatoes in there right now, down there at the floor, and it makes it typically about 80 degrees in here. So it's nice and warm. All right. Happy growing, friends. I really hope that whatever you're growing in your house right now is successful. We've still got sweet potatoes jamming. I probably actually need to move these now. Let me pull one out. See, sweet potatoes. I need to move these to a lower level so that the tomatoes now blocking the light from the top. So I'll move these to a lower level, then they'll have the light up above. Everybody's gonna just be growing well in the conditions that they prefer. I've got my cabbages and broccoli over on the other grow towers. Anyway, Bye guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Make sure to follow along, and we'll give you guys updates on how these are going. I'll definitely bring you back when it's time to pot them up. And then come the end of May, we'll be targeting planting them out in the garden.